Imagine your entire world collapsing in a single, dishonorable moment. Your lord forced to die, your clan disbanded, your very existence as a warrior stripped away. What would you do when justice is denied and honor demands a price that can only be paid in blood? Step into the heart of ancient Japan. Feel the weight of Bushido, the agony of endless patience, and the burning fire of a vow that could only end in triumph or death. This is the legend of the 47 Ronin, told from within their disciplined, vengeful ranks. If you're ready for an epic journey into the soul of a samurai, and one of history's most powerful tales of loyalty, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel to experience every part of this incredible series. My world, painstakingly built on the bedrock of duty and loyalty, crumbled on that infamous day in the year of Genroku 1701. I was Oishi Kuranosuke Yoshio, chief retainer to Lord Asano Naganori of Ako Domain. My days were ordered, my purpose clear, to serve my lord with unwavering devotion to ensure the prosperity and honor of his house. We were samurai, our lives defined by the Bushido code, a path as clear and sharp as the finest katana. The news arrived in a frantic, breathless whisper, then escalated into a horrified shout that ripped through the very foundations of Ako Castle. Lord Asano, our gentle and honorable master, had drawn his sword within the sacred confines of Edo Castle, the very heart of the shogun's authority. His target, Kida Yoshinaka, a high-ranking master of ceremonies, notorious for his arrogance and corruption. We later learned the insult was deep, a calculated humiliation that had driven our lord to an act of desperate fury. The immediate aftermath was chaos, laced with profound dread. Drawing a weapon in the shogun's palace was an unthinkable transgression, a capital offense. The verdict came swiftly, brutally, and without mercy. Lord Asano was ordered to commit seppuku, ritual suicide, to atone for his crime. His domain, our beloved Ako, was to be confiscated, his clan disbanded. In an instant, our status, our purpose, our very existence as samurai was stripped away. We were no longer vassals of a proud house. We were Ronin, masterless samurai, adrift and shamed. My mind reeled, grappling with the sheer injustice of it all. Lord Asano, a man of integrity, driven to such an extreme by the despicable Kira, yet it was he who bore the full, ultimate punishment. Kira, the architect of this humiliation, walked free, his sneering face untouched by justice. A cold fury, unlike anything I had ever known, began to simmer beneath my composure. Shame, not for my lord, but for the indignity he suffered, burned in my gut. The formal ceremony of Lord Asano's seppuku was a scene of unbearable grief and quiet, seething rage. To witness our master, noble and composed even in his final moments, take his own life was to feel a part of our very souls torn away. His last breath was not just his own, but the breath of Ako Domain, of our collective honor. As his spirit departed, a silent vow formed within me, shared by many of my fellow retainers who stood witness. This injustice could not stand. The honor of Lord Asano, the very soul of our clan, demanded retribution. As the castle was handed over, its gates swinging open to the shogun's officials, the weight of our new shameful status pressed down. Ronin, We were no longer bound by direct service, but our loyalty, our Bushido, dictated a higher law. We had no lord, but we had a sacred duty to restore the honor of the one we had lost. The path would be long, fraught with danger, and demand the ultimate sacrifice. But in that moment, amidst the ruins of our shattered world, the first, unwavering thought of vengeance took root. It was a terrifying, yet undeniable call to a higher purpose, a path I knew I must walk, no matter the cost. The immediate aftermath of Lord Asano's seppuku and the dissolution of our clan was a period of deliberate, agonizing dispersion. We, his former retainers, scattered to the winds, not out of fear, but out of necessity. Kida Yoshinaka, the venomous official who had brought ruin upon our lord, was powerful, watchful, and protected by the shogun's authority. Any overt sign of lingering loyalty, any hint of a plot for vengeance, would have been met with swift and brutal suppression, ending our nascent plan before it even began. My own role in this masquerade was perhaps the most challenging. As the chief retainer, I was the most obvious target of Kida's suspicion. To truly disarm his vigilance, I had to embody the very opposite of a loyal samurai seeking retribution. I embraced a life of apparent debauchery and sloth. I journeyed to Kyoto, a city far from the watchful eyes of Edo, and plunged myself into the world of pleasure districts and taverns. I became a notorious drunkard, frequenting brothels, staggering through the streets in a haze of sake, and publicly divorcing my loyal wife, who understood the grim necessity of my actions. This was a profound personal agony. To shed the very essence of my being, to disgrace my family name in public, was a torment far greater than any physical pain. Yet it was a necessary sacrifice, a shield behind which our true purpose could mature. The whispers followed me, of course. Oishi has fallen, they'd say. The once proud chief retainer has become a dissolute fool, a shadow of his former self. Even some of my former comrades, those not privy to the innermost circle of trust, genuinely believed I had lost my way. This was crucial. If they believed it, surely Kida's spies, ever present, ever listening, would believe it too. There were times, alone in the dim light of a Kyoto inn, when the weight of the pretense threatened to crush me. Was I truly losing myself in this deception? Could I ever return from this abyss of feigned dishonor? Yet beneath the facade of the drunken wastrel, my mind was sharp, constantly calculating. I moved with a deliberate slowness, observing, listening. I sent subtle messages, coded signals to the most trusted among our scattered brethren. We were Ronin now, masterless, living on the edge of poverty. But our spirit, though hidden, remained unbroken. Some, unable to endure the hardship or the pretense, drifted away, finding new paths, or simply succumbing to despair. We allowed them to go. Only the truly committed, those whose hearts burned with the same righteous indignation, could be part of what was to come. I tested them, too. A warrior might approach me, filled with righteous anger, urging immediate action. I would dismiss them with a drunken slur, challenging their patience. Only those who persisted, who understood the need for meticulous planning and supreme discretion, could be considered. One particularly zealous young Ronin even struck me in public, enraged by my seeming degradation. I endured the humiliation, knowing it further cemented the illusion. Months bled into a year, then more. The world moved on. Kira, convinced that the vengeance of Asano's retainers was a mere fantasy, lowered his guard. His spies, tired of reporting on my drunken antics, turned their attention elsewhere. The long game was working. Slowly, meticulously, I began to draw the threads together, bringing the most loyal and patient of the former Ako samurai into our secret circle. Each man was vetted, each vow confirmed. We were no longer masterless. Our master was honor, and our purpose was retribution. The time for outward weakness was nearing its end, and the grim, precise work of true preparation could finally begin. With Kira's vigilance finally lulled by my convincing performance as a dissolute drunkard, the true work could begin. The time for outward weakness was over. The time for meticulous, almost invisible preparation had arrived. From my hidden vantage point in Kyoto, I began to draw the scattered threads of our loyalty back together. It was a delicate dance, each contact fraught with risk. I sought out those whose honor I knew to be as unshakable as my own, former comrades who, despite hardship and disgrace, still carried the silent fire of vengeance in their hearts. My emissaries, discreet and trusted, carried coded messages, setting up clandestine meetings in remote temples, quiet tea houses, or the anonymity of bustling market streets. We met under the cloak of night, our faces grim, our voices low. Each man who answered the call had endured his own purgatory. Some had lost everything, their families reduced to poverty, their futures erased. Others had taken on humble trades, their samurai skills hidden beneath the guise of artisans or merchants. Yet, the moment they heard the true purpose behind my debauchery, their eyes would ignite with the familiar flame of absolute loyalty. They understood the sacrifice, the long torturous wait, and the ultimate price we would all pay. The core group began to solidify. There was Horibe Yahei, steadfast and grizzled, eager to put his years of quiet suffering to an honorable end. His son, Yasube, a master swordsman, burned with a youthful, disciplined fervor. Muramatsu Kihioe, known for his unwavering loyalty, offered his meticulous mind to our cause. Each man brought a unique strength, a particular skill, but above all a shared, unyielding dedication to Lord Asano's memory. We were 47 in total, a small yet formidable band bound by a silent, unbreakable oath. Our discussions were painstaking. We analyzed Kira's mansion in Edo with obsessive detail. We bribed servants, disguised ourselves as laborers and merchants to gain entry, memorizing its layout. The number of guards, the placement of gates, the thickness of walls, the flow of the adjacent river. We studied Kira's daily routines, his sleeping habits, his favored chambers. Every crack in his defenses was noted, every weakness exploited. We gathered weapons discreetly, purchased from various sources to avoid suspicion, ensuring our swords were sharp, our armor silent, our bows strung tight. The greatest challenge was patience. The urge for immediate action was a constant, gnawing hunger, especially among the younger Ronin, but haste was our enemy. We had to wait for the perfect moment, when Kira's guard was lowest, when the weather provided cover, when the risk of collateral damage to innocent lives was minimal. My role as their leader was not just to plan, but to constantly manage this burning impatience, to ensure our disciplined focus remained razor sharp. I knew the weight of this responsibility. Each of these men had entrusted me with their lives, their honor, and their ultimate sacrifice. As the winter deepened, the planning reached its final stages. The cold air seemed to sharpen our resolve, freezing out any lingering doubt. We had sacrificed our reputations, our families, our very identities. Soon, the long wait would be over. The path to freedom and honor, once a distant dream, was now a meticulously drawn map leading us straight to Kira's doorstep. We were ready to strike, not as a mob, but as a disciplined force bound by an ancient code, prepared to avenge our Lord and reclaim our honor, no matter the cost. The night of December 14, 1702 was bitterly cold, the air thick with the promise of snow, a perfect shroud for our clandestine mission. For nearly 2 years, this night had lived in my mind, a burning ember of purpose, Now as the hour approached, a calm, chilling resolve settled over the 47 Ronin. We gathered in the biting cold, dressed as firefighters to avoid suspicion, our weapons hidden, our faces set. Each man knew the plan, each accepted the inevitable outcome. This was not a raid for glory or plunder. It was a sacred duty, an act of justice. At the stroke of midnight, our small, disciplined force converged on Kira Yoshinaka's mansion in Edo. The initial penetration was swift and silent. Some scaled the outer walls with ladders, others forced the main gates using heavy mallets. We moved with precision, a well-oiled machine forged by months of patient planning and unwavering shared purpose. Our signal for the attack was the beating of a single drum, followed by a whistle, a sound that would alert our men within the compound and strike terror into Kira's guards. The mansion, though well-guarded, was taken by surprise. The element of shock was ours. We split into two groups, as planned. One, under Oishi Oshikane, my son, secured the front of the mansion. The other, under my direct command, focused on the rear, aiming to prevent any escape. The silence of the night was quickly shattered by the clang of steel, the shouts of Kira's guards, and the thud of bodies. My men fought with a cold, desperate efficiency, their every move honed by years of training and fueled by righteous fury. They were outnumbered, but their resolve was absolute. Our primary objective was Kira himself. We swept through the mansion, room by room, systematically neutralizing any resistance. We bound the women and children, ensuring no harm came to the innocent. Our vengeance was precise, aimed solely at the one who had brought dishonor upon our lord. The search was tense. Kira was known to be a coward, likely hiding. We found his chief retainer, fiercely loyal, but he too quickly fell to our disciplined attack. The hunt for Kira led us to a hidden outbuilding, a charcoal shed in the mansion's courtyard. Two of our men, suspecting its purpose, entered cautiously. They emerged, dragging an old man, trembling and clutching a short sword. His face, once so arrogant and sneering, was now contorted with terror. There was no doubt it was Kira Yoshinaka. I approached him, my heart a mixture of triumph and solemnity. There was no joy in this kill, only the grim satisfaction of a sacred duty fulfilled. I produced the dagger with which Lord Asano had committed seppuku, a symbolic gesture. "We are the retainers of Asano Naganori," I stated, my voice steady despite the adrenaline surging through me. "We have come to avenge our lord." Kira remained silent, trembling. With a swift, clean stroke, I ended his life. The head of Kira was severed, a stark trophy of our success. The fighting ceased. The silence that followed was profound, broken only by the ragged breathing of my men and the distant sounds of the awakening city. We had done it. We had avenged our lord, restoring his honor, and in doing so, our own. But the night was far from over. Our vow was complete, but our path now led to a different, final kind of honor. With Kira Yoshinaka's head severed, silence descended upon the mansion, thick and heavy, broken only by our ragged breaths, and the distant sounds of Edo, slowly awakening. The immediate fury of the battle had subsided, replaced by a profound sense of grim satisfaction and an almost ethereal calm. We, the 47 Ronin, stood amidst the chaos we had wrought, our sacred oath fulfilled. But our duty was not yet complete. We had shed blood within the Shogun's city, an act of justice in our eyes, but an act of defiance in the eyes of the law. We made no attempt to flee. Instead, in a solemn procession, we marched through the waking streets of Edo, bearing Kira's head. Our destination was Sengakuji Temple, the resting place of our beloved Lord Asano. The route was chosen carefully, avoiding main roads to prevent undue disturbance, yet public enough to ensure our act was witnessed. The citizens of Edo, roused by the distant sounds of fighting and the growing buzz of rumors, peered from their windows. Some looked on in fear, others in awe. Many, who knew of the injustice suffered by Lord Asano, offered silent respect. We were not common criminals. We were samurai, acting according to a higher code. Upon reaching Sengakuji, we cleansed Kira's head at a nearby well and then placed it before Lord Asano's grave. There, we performed a simple, heartfelt ceremony, reporting to our master that his honor had been avenged. The snow began to fall gently, as if the heavens themselves acknowledged the completion of our grim task. It was a moment of profound peace, the culmination of 2 years of arduous planning, suffering, and unwavering loyalty. Our fate was sealed. We had broken the shogun's law, even as we upheld the samurai's code. We surrendered ourselves to the authorities, presenting our statement, signed by all 47 of us, explaining the righteousness of our actions. The shogunate faced a profound dilemma. To punish us as common murderers would be to deny the very essence of Bushido that they themselves championed. Yet, to let us go would undermine the authority of the state. After much deliberation, the verdict was delivered. We were condemned to commit seppuku. It was the only honorable path, a death befitting samurai, allowing us to maintain our dignity even in judgment. On March 20th, 1703, in separate groups, we faced our final moments with quiet courage. I, Oishi Kuranosuke, was among the first. As the blade entered, my last thought was of Lord Asano and the sacred honor we had restored. Our sacrifice reverberated throughout Japan. We were mourned, celebrated, and enshrined as symbols of ultimate loyalty and righteousness. Our graves at Sengakuji became, and remain to this day, a place of pilgrimage. The story of the 47 Ronin became a cornerstone of Japanese culture, taught to children, depicted in plays, and revered as the epitome of the samurai spirit. We chose honor over life, duty over despair, and in doing so, we achieved a form of immortality, forever etching our names into the annals of history. Our path of vengeance had indeed been a final, glorious journey into legend.